So this week on News View, I'm talking about the IMF program that government has entered into. At least that's what a lot of people are discussing, and members of parliament have not been left out of that. Forget about the jokes that were being made about it, but it's a serious issue that our economy be committed to a Bretton Woods institution at least for the next 2 to 3 years, depending on what terms our team is able to agree on with the IMF. It's not bad per se for the country to go to the IMF, but because of the discussions, because of the deliberations and the politicization, the needless politicization that has characterized the IMF discussion in our country over the period, is what has made it look like it's bad for countries to go to the IMF. And indeed, going to the IMF is an admission that in and of your own self, you cannot keep within the remit of fiscal discipline. You can't discipline yourself to be able to spend within your limits. Of course, government is blaming Russia-Ukraine war and the coronavirus pandemic for resorting to the IMF. It may not be a bad option, but I think that for what it's worth, for all that has gone on in the period, in the past few months in this country in relation to the IMF, the president owes the duty to the citizenry to at least, this is the kind of national issue or event, or I don't want to use the word crisis, which calls for the president to speak to the nation, to candidly, heartfelt, engage the Ghanaian public about sincerely why you think we are here. Of course, we've heard what the president said when they met the AGI business captains of industry. We've also heard what he said when he was swearing in ambassadors in relation to IMF and the rest. But that's different from engaging the country. Let's see the kind of impacts the COVID addresses made. At least, of course, on turning to something else. But in the early days, if people attentively were listening, there's something about the power of national broadcast. That's why Nkrumah never played with it. The power of national broadcast that he should be able to bring to bear on this IMF decision. Eyeball to eyeball. Talk to the public about why you are taking this decision, taking us to the IMF, and why genuinely, sincerely, you think that that's the best way to go at this point in time. I think the president owes that to the citizenry. Secondly, this calls for us to assemble our best brains, irrespective of politics. So it's not as if only the best brains are in only one party in the country. It's not true. Even if that is the case, in the interest of national consensus and to get in the buy-in of all parts of the political divide, I think we need to assemble our best brains, not only the economic management team of the Akufo-Addo administration that should be doing this. A lot more people need to come on board. Also, take if you have to engage the venerable Kwame Pianim, KY Mwakon. There's so many illustrious economists over the years. Kwesi Boche, who oversaw the longest IMF program, the structural adjustment program, the economic recovery program of the 80s. They are all around, thankfully. Engage them. Scarce ideas, solutions, so that we'll put our best foot forward when we engage in these negotiations. And the point about cutting down expenditure, draining the swamp, projects such as the National Cathedral leaving the expenditure list. Because at this point in time, taking a second look at the free SHS and so many other social intervention programs, Agenda 111, all of these may be affected by the IMF program. But how do we negotiate in a way and manner to ensure that a lot of these social intervention programs that are impacting positively on the lives of the ordinary Ghanaian are kept, while we keep our fiscal discipline and ensure that we don't spend recklessly and keep our spending within limits? That's the major question that needs to be discussed. And for me, one major area in which we need to show that commitment is to genuinely cut down the spending. Next week is the mid-year budget review. It's a very good point for the Minister for Finance to account to Parliament on so far the savings that have been made. There were some measures announced in March. 4 months down the line, what kind of impact, or 3 months down the line, what kind of impact has these measures that were announced made? For instance, how much have we saved? The country saved from the 20% cut on expenditure. How much have we saved on the halving of fuel coupons? How much have we spent on the ban on travels? All these things need to be put out there to show the citizenry, and in fact send the confidence out there into the international community that indeed we are interested, the country is interested in living within its means and being fiscally disciplined.